Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the second video of the series that I'm doing on how to collect retro games through buying and selling. Today's topic is going to be kind of long and it's going to have a lot of information as we will be discussing all the different platforms for buying retro games that I use. We're going to talk about each and discuss all the advantages and disadvantages of each. This is really important so that you can use a combination of platforms to fit your needs. So let's get started right away and start talking about the first platform. The first platform we'll quickly cover are online retro video game stores. These are websites that specialize and carry retro games. These websites will carry a variety of inventory across many consoles. I have shopped with a good half dozen of these online stores and have had positive experiences with them. Stores in mind are Lukey Games, DK Oldies, the Old School Game Vault, and eStarlin. Notice that I didn't talk about one particular game store. We'll talk about that one later. The biggest advantage of these specialty stores is that they carry a lot of inventory in a wide variety. You can find accessories and games for even the most obscure systems. Retro game stores are also very on top of checking to make sure that what they sell is authentic and legit. The websites are very nice and easy to use with great search tools to narrow down your search. I also experience consistent customer satisfaction when I shop through an online store. You don't have to worry about flaky or inexperienced sellers. The biggest disadvantage, and frankly the reason why I buy from these stores very seldomly, is the price. These will have the highest prices generally out of all the platforms. We're talking levels significantly higher than Price Charting's estimate. It's not surprising as these are businesses like any other that have overhead expenses to cover. You will also not find wholesale lots or cost-efficient bundles. I think buying from these stores should be limited to special occasions, and in fact, I would suggest not using these for the first couple of months and only rely on platforms that sell game lots. The next is Gamestop. Yes, even Gamestop has its place when it comes to retro game collecting. Gamestop sells retro games on their online store only. They carry a decent selection of games among the more popular retro consoles. Gamestop offers attractive prices, but at first glance. They also have semi-regular store specials like buy two get one free or 16% off pre-owned games type deals that make it even more incentivizing to buy. The catch is the completeness, condition, and authenticity of the games actually received. You see, GameStop doesn't check for functionality or authenticity typically when people trade in their old games. If you watch my video on fake SNES and GBA games, the common theme to both of those games was that they went through GameStop at one point. Also, their pre-owned description basically states that the game will likely be disc or cartridge only. No original box or case and/or instruction manual. There's still a chance you could get a case or manual, but don't bet on it. Games can also be defective and not actually work, and it happens quite often. I've also noticed that they do some kind of in-house buffing process on all discs, and it leaves this ugly surface that's sort of like a signature mark of theirs that, in my opinion, lessens the value of the game. I personally don't collect boxes and manuals for cartridge-based games, so I found that GameStop was really nice for getting low to mid-price cartridges using their store specials. Cartridges are generally more robust than discs, so it's generally in good working condition. And when you're buying lower-ish priced games, they will almost always be original. Typically, it's the very expensive cartridges that are fakes or repros. When you're buying from a retro game store or GameStop, you're buying from a singular seller or business. This means that prices are going to be very systematic and consistent. It's going to be hard to find a price that's well below the actual value of the game, unless it's by mistake. So for these purposes, I recommend using these for only few and specific purchases. The next platforms we'll discuss here on out, except for one, will facilitate transactions between sellers like me as individuals. And because of this is how you can find really great deals and savings. The first of these platforms is buying locally. What we'll specifically discuss in regards to local buying is through Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Local buying can also refer to garage sales and yard sales as well as thrift stores. It pretty much refers to transactions that are local and not online. Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace are free to use selling platforms where sellers can list things for sale for local pickup. They're very simple and easy. I describe Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace as a casino slot machine. Generally, when you're playing a slot machine, you're not winning much at all. And when you do win, it's only small amounts here and there. But, there's always that small chance to hit a huge jackpot. We're talking listings where the seller is completely unaware of the value of a collection of games and sells it for a small fraction of the price. It doesn't happen that often, but the jackpots are big enough to keep you playing. So the first advantage is the chance to score huge deals. Wholesale lots are also commonly sold and attainable. Another advantage is that prices are very negotiable. It's almost expected that a price goes for slightly under asking. Picking up locally also means that you're not waiting for shipping or need to worry about something damaged in transit. So you can get inventory quicker and safer. And the website is very simple and easy to use right away. It doesn't require extensive information or even an account for Craigslist. Most sellers also provide adequate pictures and description to assess overall condition. Meeting in person does pose danger elements. You obviously need to be smart and safe. I personally only use Craigslist's anonymous email system for communication, and I always meet in public areas when buying or selling. I feel that the whole personal interaction is also less efficient and distracting. I like to keep my buying and selling as impersonal as possible. It's just faster and easier for me. The variety of inventory is also low. It's in fact more common to find newer console generations for sale as opposed to retro games. And even the retro game listings will typically not have rare or hard to find titles. The search tools are very limited. All you have to work off with is a few categories and a simple search function. And generally, sales are always final. Refunds or returns are usually out of the question. Not really known for it, but Amazon does sell retro games and has a great variety too. There's a catalog for nearly every game. Once you click on a game, you can select and view the used listings for sale from cheapest to most expensive. Like with Gamestop and other online stores, purchases are for single items only, typically. No chance to score game lots here. Descriptions on average are pretty limited as most just generally comment on the completeness of the game, like disc only or complete, and listings don't usually have photos. Because you have to individually select item catalogs as opposed to doing simple searches and sorting, it makes searching long and inefficient. For instance, to know what games were recently listed for a particular system, you would have to click through each and every game catalog for that system, so your searches are always very limited. I find it most practical to bookmark games on my wish list as a quick way to check new listings. There is, of course, the chance people list things very cheaply and for buyers to take advantage of price mismatches. Amazon prices are very weird in my opinion. It's my guess that sellers typically base their price on an item based on what others are pricing it currently. So if the first person way overprices a game, everybody else that lists after will follow that price trend. So you'll see some items where all the prices are ridiculous and some, but fewer, where the prices are good and competitive. Risk is mitigated shopping with Amazon as their 30-day return policy is very buyer-friendly. Mercari is another platform for retro game purchases. I'll be kind of brief on this one as I'm still new to Mercari and don't have the experiences I do with the other platforms. Mercari is sort of a smaller, auction-free eBay. You can find games and lots for sale, and the variety is pretty decent. There's also the chance of getting promotions, which can really boost your purchasing power. My biggest issue, I'd say, is the search tools. It's not suited for retro game collecting. If I want to say search for PlayStation 1, I can only filter down to Sony PlayStation, which means I have to filter out PS2, PS3, and PS4 listings. Also, every search you do, it also displays sold listings. This is very annoying to me because I'm not interested in seeing sold listings, so I have to manually deselect this for every search I do. If anyone knows how to make it default to show only for sale listings and want to share this in the comment section, that would be greatly appreciated. As I've said, my purchasing experience is still small, but from the purchases I've done so far, I've come across a high percentage of flaky sellers. I've already had multiple transactions canceled because the seller didn't ship the item or was not communicative at all. I'm convinced that Mercari is not everyone's primary selling platform, so you're going to run into issues like no communication, non-existent sellers, or the item is just no longer available for sale because it was sold somewhere else. The platforms discussed so far, I consider them as secondary platforms. And what this means is that they're nice for bonus extra purchases here and there, but the platforms do not allow you to have consistent inventory flow and results. It could be very busy one month and then it could be very, very dead the next month. It happens all the time. The next two platforms, I call them primary platforms. And what these can do for you is they can actually allow you to have consistent inventory flow and month-to-month performance. So I recommend that at least one of these next two platforms is utilized along with a combination of other secondary platforms. The first of these primary platforms is a lesser known website called ShopGoodwill. I was actually shocked when two serious collector friends of mine hadn't heard of this website. Goodwill is a nationwide donation center, and anything of significant value that gets donated is auctioned off online starting at $1 usually. On average, about 200 gaming auctions are ending daily. The listings are also usually huge lots comprising of systems, accessories, and games. You can find some of the biggest wholesale pickups here for great prices. Even auctions for obscure systems exist. This website, however, is by far the riskiest out of all the platforms. Everything is limitedly tested and inspected, and all purchases are final. Conditions can vary immensely. You may get pristine working items or dirty broken ones. You have to do your best to assess the condition from the pictures provided. I've even received games that didn't have the correct game disc inside the cases. To be successful with ShopGoodwill, you have to be willing to troubleshoot and fix things as they come. This is a lot of money left on the table if ignored. And so the process of buying and selling takes longer than any other platform. Because so many auctions end daily and each listing can have numerous items, it does require a lot of dedicated search time. I also feel like the likelihood of finding very rare and expensive games is small. It's certainly possible. In fact, I got my copy of Blood Will Tell from a ShopGoodwill purchase, but other platforms offer higher probabilities. The second primary platform and the final platform we'll talk about in this video is, and you could probably guess what it is none other than eBay. eBay is the biggest platform for shopping retro games. Nothing compares to the sheer volume of listings put up for sale or auction every minute. You can pretty much find anything that your heart desires: games, manuals, inserts, systems, parts, and of course, wholesale lots. Truly a one-stop shop for retro gaming needs. With so many sellers, it's easy to spot huge deals and savings. I really like the search tools as they really help narrow down your search to a gnat's ass pretty much. You can furthermore shop through individual seller stores if you had a great experience with. The photos and descriptions are honestly on average the best among platforms. Sellers typically provide sufficient photos and descriptions so that you know exactly what you'll receive. eBay has come a long way to what it was 10 or 15 years ago. The age of scams are virtually long gone with eBay's buyer protection program. I've bought hundreds of things off eBay and not once have I ever been scammed out of my money. I've had canceled transactions, items that never shipped, and items that weren't as described. And for each of those situations, I never had a problem getting my money back. In fact, the rules are so buyer friendly that really the people that have to worry are sellers themselves. The one major downside to eBay is that because of its size, like ShopGoodwill, you will need to invest a lot of time for searching. You will constantly have to scroll through many bad deals before you finally find a good one. Also, customer satisfaction can vary from seller to seller as some are inexperienced. but I found that most are very exceptional due to eBay's strict metric ratings and feedback system. All right, that wraps up all the information for this video. Please be sure to click on the link to a guide on today's contents. I threw in a lot of extra information, as well as some nice summary tables that compare and contrast all the platforms that we discuss. So please use that as much as you want for your reference. Stay tuned to the next video where we're gonna start talking about all the different search techniques for actually finding deals and bargains. Thanks again, guys.